The Roman god Janus is depicted with two faces, one gazing back and one peering ahead, embodying the essence of January as a time of transitions and new beginnings. When I was younger, I would often make these big New Year resolutions that, to no one's surprise, I would never keep. They were often big, unrealistic goals that lacked specifics. As I've gotten older, I've learned to focus on cultivating simple habits to get the most out of my ordinary life, choosing to find the magic in the mundane. Thank you. Okay. Freedom. Shortly before 2024 ended, I did something that I hadn't done in years. I picked up a journal again. For a few years, my hobby was setting up my monthly journal and creating these colorful spreads that I could look back on. But then one day, I found not joy, but instead friction in starting a journal entry. I had developed this expectation of myself to make my journal creative, whatever creative meant. I now know that I was experiencing a form of hobby burnout, where something I used to do for fun became a source of stress and fatigue. I lost sight of the essence of journaling, and it felt more like a school homework that you would procrastinate to do. As I pick up my journal again in 2025, I'm eliminating every point of friction. I'm not setting up my journal for the year, I'm not thinking of a new theme every month, I'm not even using colored markers, just my favorite pen and unfiltered thoughts.
Up first is 30 seconds of high knee. Press start to begin.
Everyone was watching you moving in the beat, cause swerving in the street just to get a glimpse of you. You were posing for them, yeah, you were striding for them, cause you know just what you do. So if I never touch you, baby, you should know I'm going crazy. I can't help myself anymore, cause I've been looking for the one and I would think I found your love, cause things have never been this good before. Cause you're dancing in the corner, you're dancing how you want it, I can't help but smile. And then I started tapping feet in bed, we moving to the beat, yeah. Summer nights
Cheers! 164 days ago, I was in a rut. It was one of my lowest points of 2024 and I was so sick of feeling sorry for myself. So the next morning, I got up and did something out of impulse. I signed up for a personal training service, aka Train Well. Usually my impulsive actions lead to negativity and regrets, as is often implied by the word impulsive. But that day, I tried to harness every single drop of my energy to push my impulsivity to a positive direction. That morning, I got matched with my sweet trainer Lauren, and for the next 163 days, I'm really proud to say that I have exercised consistently. Present day, things have somehow come full circle, and Trainwell has reached out to me to share with you guys my fitness story. So before moving to Germany, I led a pretty active lifestyle. I would take public transportation to work every single day, and that meant 15 to 20 minutes of walking to and fro stations and about an hour on standing on the bus and trains. After work, I would go to the gym almost every day and did 1 to 2 classes. I had a little gym community, and overall I just really loved working out. After moving to Germany, I was really sad to leave my little gym community, and honestly, I think I let my anxiety get ahead of me and it prevented me from joining a new gym. I also became self-employed, so there was no longer an office for me to commute to, so for 3 years I led a pretty sedentary lifestyle. Along the way, I would coax myself into working out again. I tried different apps and different YouTube videos, but having to choose which workout video to do created this mental friction, and the lack of accountability just meant that I was unmotivated and thus had zero consistency. And I think that's mainly why Trainwell has been so helpful for me. The accountability factor and the fact that all the workouts are tailored for me. I text with my trainer Lauren almost every day, and I swear she is one of the sweetest people on earth. She sends me motivational quotes, recipe ideas, and comes up with challenges to keep me motivated. Like during the holidays, we had this little challenge where we were focusing on getting at least 30 minutes of movement each day, drinking enough fluids, getting enough protein intake, and at least 10 minutes of reading or listen to an audiobook. So while I was stuffing my face with cookies every single day in December, I also knew that I was checking off these good habits so I didn't feel guilty about indulging more during the holidays. We also have pretty regular check-in calls to adjust the workouts as I make progress.
Which is incredible in what your favorite pair of pants don't really fit. It's a good problem to have, you know, it's good.
If you've been struggling to maintain a consistent workout routine, I highly recommend Trainwell, and January is just the perfect time to start any good habit. Use my link or the QR code to take the Trainwell quiz to find your perfect trainer and also get 14 days of free training. A habit that I would like to be more consistent with in 2025 is meal prepping. I did it on and off last year, but I clearly remember that my happiness level was way higher whenever I did do it. It sounds silly to say it out loud, but deciding what to eat 2 times a day, every single day, brings me a lot of stress. So when I instead spend just a few hours on Sundays to meal prep, I have a lot more mental clarity for the rest of the week. I have found that the way of meal prepping like a restaurant chef to work best for me. Instead of making the same meals for the whole week, I'm focusing on getting all the chopping done and mixing all the sauces so that for the rest of the week, I can simply mix and match the ingredients to quickly whip up different meals without having to wash as many dishes. Doing this also ensures that I have a more balanced diet, and it is just a win-win-win situation.
Sunsets and shores far from home, headlights are shining on the sea. No place on earth I'd rather be. And I could try to just follow the swell, but I'll never find this anywhere else. to all those places on the wall. And I'm coming close to this, I'm sure. Gonna try to say the sunrise the same. But tell me, have you ever danced in the rain? And I could try to just follow the sweat, but I'll never find this anywhere.
On Sundays, we have a strict no work policy in our house. Sundays are for catching up on chores, meal prepping, for rest, and for cozy hobbies. Currently, I'm playing Coral Island. This is a reimagination of the farming sim games like Stardew Valley, and it has a lot of Southeast Asian influence since the creators are from Indonesia. I grew up playing games that were very Western influenced, so it's really cool to see my culture being represented in a game like this. Another cozy hobby and mindful habit I'm enforcing since last year is to read, if possible, every day. Whenever I end up scrolling on Instagram for hours, at the back of my head there's always this thought, you could have spent these hours reading instead. So that's what I'm trying to do now. Instead of reaching out for my phone, I reach out for a book or my Kindle. In 2024, I read a total of 34 books, and this year my goal is to hit 50. I'm actually terrified of recommending books to you guys because I'm not a great reader. I don't stick to a genre. I didn't study literature. I honestly just read whatever that speaks to me and my heart at that moment. Nevertheless, there are a number of books that I've read in 2024 that I would recommend to you guys in a heartbeat. The first is Bookshop Dogs by Ruth. If you've been struggling to start reading, this is the book I would recommend to you. It's from the same author of The Bookseller at the End of the World. If you enjoyed that, this is a more lighthearted, heartwarming, and wholesome story about the dogs that have been in the author's life, and it's quirky, it's sweet, but I'm going to warn you that you're going to shed a few tears along the way too. Next is The Lost Story by Schaffer. This book is inspired by the Chronicles of Narnia, and it's about these two boys, Jeremy and Reid, who went missing in the forest only to reappear 6 months later with no explanation of where they've been or how they survived. This book is so charming, and without giving anything away, I would just say that the way the chapters are written is pretty unexpected and unique. My third recommendation is for the romantasy lovers. It is The Shepherd King duology, consisting of One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. The magic system in this book is so unique, and you know how many fantasy romance books tend to focus too much on the romance and the fantasy kind of takes a sideline? This book is not it. The plot plots. It is set in the mist-locked kingdom of Blunder, where magic is considered an infection and is forbidden. The first book focuses on Elspeth Spindle, who has been infected, and ever since then, she has a monster in her head. She calls him the Nightmare. I read quite a few romantasy series last year, and this one has by far been my favorite so far, so I hope you give it a try. Over Christmas, I read The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Ellie Carter. This book is like Knives Out meets a cheesy holiday rom-com. And even though it's not Christmas anymore, I think it's still a perfect cozy winter read, especially if it's snowing outside. Even though it's only been a week into 2025, I have finished 2 books and I have to tell you about them. The first one is The People on Platform 5 by Clare Pooley. This is a feel-good read with unforgettable characters that remind you to never judge the book by its cover, and there's always more than what meets the eye. So this was the first book that I read in 2025, and I was like, oh no, how are other books going to keep up now? I have such a high standard now. But then came along the second book, which is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This I have fallen in love with this book that I don't know how to move on from it. It is a historical drama novel that tells the story of old Hollywood star Evelyn Hugo, who at age 79 gives a final interview to unknown journalist Monique Grant. The chapters are named after Evelyn Hugo's 7 husbands, and it chronicles her life throughout her marriages and affairs that she experiences. This book has brought me up and down a roller coaster of emotions, and I just love the way the author writes. Please let me know if you decide to give any of these books a read, and let me know what you think. If you loved it or even if you hated it, I want to know. I'm open for a discussion. What are you doing? We always say she has this derpy look. Do you want to play? Shall we play? Yeah? Okay, it's time to give some attention to Juno. As we embrace January and the promise of new beginnings, let us approach the year with open hearts and minds. Establishing healthy routines is not about drastic changes or unrealistic expectations. Instead of aiming to read every single day, maybe just aim to finish a novel in a month. Instead of saying that you'll work out every single day, start with getting in 2 10-minute sessions a week and make progress from there. To help you get started, you can also use my link to take a quiz to find your perfect Train Well trainer and get 14 days of free training. By being patient with the process, we can create lasting habits that contribute to our physical and mental well-being throughout the whole year. Remember, the journey to better health is a marathon, not a sprint, and every small step forward is a victory worth celebrating.